Hey there, folks. It's your Clubhouse host, James, coming to you from the Back Nine Life headquarters, where I'm bringing you another episode of the weekly podcast, Teed Off. We bring you no fluff, no spin, and definitely no political affiliations, just the news as I see it. So, let's get into it. All right, looks like the first one's kind of a puff piece. It seems to be the new thing on TikTok. Bathroom camping at social events. Is it rude or is it self-care? I guess bathroom camping is this thing where you're at a social event now and you decide to just kidnap the bathroom. And you go in there and that's your little safe place and you hang out just to decompress or do whatever you need to do. This article is asking if it's rude or if it's self-care, because obviously some influencer in Australia came out with this, and this is now spread across TikTok that people will go to the bathroom, but not to go to the bathroom, to go in and hang out with themselves for 15, 20 minutes. I'm not going to negate mental health or the things that people do to better themselves or to, create a nice little holistic thing for them. Now, doing it with the only public bathroom whenever you're at a party or something, is that rude? I guess it's about the circle of your friends. Quite honestly, I go to my friend's house for a dinner party and I decide that, hey, I'm going to go spend 30 minutes in their bathroom. You go to a social event, it's not your home. If you don't feel comfortable, if you need to get time to yourself, if you need to do something like that, then go home. Why are you hanging out in the first place? Now, I don't want to take away from this generation or the generations that have grown up in timeouts and things like that, because, hey, I'm not totally insensitive about this stuff. I personally, if we had a problem whenever I was a kid and we had to decompress or we had to do whatever, my mom would just switch me, or my dad would, snap a belt in front of his face and say, I'll give you something to cry about. I saw this article and I was just like, how far are we going to go with this? I think we're actually starting to come back from the real extreme that we got to in 2020, 2021, where people just completely and utterly blew the mental health issues in this country out of context. They took it so far left. They took it so deep that people just went against it. People just got so sick of it. You guys went too far. You went too far, okay? You can't have the middle just feel guilty about telling people to suck it up. I've always said that we've got a problem. People were like, we have a problem in this country with kids being soft. The kids aren't soft. It's the parents that are soft. It feels like kindergarten. It feels like we need to have a milk and nap time, and everybody gets their binky. Come on. Yes, you're at a party at somebody's house. Do not take over their bathroom. Do not for 30 minutes. Especially if they're drinking loads of wine and loads of beer or something, because guess what? People got to go pee. Like I said, it's the new thing on TikTok, bathroom camping at social events. I would really like to hear comments about it, see what people have to say, because to me, it's just baffling. Bathroom camping. All right. Another one that was a little bit of a fluff piece, but I found very interesting because I'm really starting to embrace AI myself. So anyway, AI divorce over coffee grounds reading. It seems this woman in Greece used ChatGPT to analyze coffee grounds, which is a pattern, coffee ground patterns, which is I guess a science named tasseography. 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 The analyzation of coffee ground patterns. And she was looking, and ChatGPT found signs of infidelity in this woman's reading. AI alleged her husband was involved with a younger woman with a middle initial of E. Within days of her and ChatGPT getting together, she filed for divorce, and I guess that she's going to be granted it on the thing. So what we have now is AI fortune telling. The tea leaves are being read, or the coffee beans, as it will, are being read by ChatGPT, it seems. I am a huge, huge fan of AI and the tools that it can bring to the table to make things more efficient, to actually help people streamline their lives, and also to enhance GDP, enhance everything. If efficiency breeds more money, it means more growth. It means more everything. And I firmly believe that the AI revolution is going to be a great, great thing. But we have a lot of problems here. The first big problem, and this is going to be what really brings AI to really take over what we are worried about it taking over. It is so positive with everything it does. It will not say that anything is a bad idea. It's there to solve problems. And this is the great thing about AI, is that it will solve the problems. And it'll get us to the point where we say, hey, take over. It's not going to be the Terminator. It's not going to be anything like the machines going against the humans. It's going to be us letting AI basically take over our lives. And that's what everybody's worried about. But we're going to let it do it. We're going to let this technology do it because it is so positive. It will take care of a problem. It will solve a problem. That's what it's there for. And we don't get that, in my opinion, that we're going to give up freedoms because it's easy. And so it won't be a great big huge end of the world scenario where AI is getting rid of humans or anything like that. We're going to ask it to do it. We're going to ask this technology to do this for us. It's going to be us giving up something rather than something getting taken from us. Is this going to happen very soon? For some people, like I said, this lady, if she's reading coffee grounds and asking ChatGPT to see about infidelity with her husband, this is a level that she has gotten into, trying to find anything. And she's using ChatGPT as a validation for her overactive imagination. Now, is this guy cheating on her? Could be. What are coffee ground patterns anyway? I mean, do you just throw beans in the air and it goes down and you're like, well, there's the Ouija board. It says, I'm guessing this is not an exact science. All right, the second problem with AI. We're not going to be able to get it implemented the way we need to anyway, because we don't have enough power to do that. To get to the next level, it's going to require so much energy that we cannot do it from just oil production. We will have to get into nuclear. We will have to get into wind. We will have to get into solar. We will have to scale these things up a lot further than what they are, because we're already pushing at a capacity. And even if you ask ChatGPT right now, is there enough electrical capacity to continue AI at the pace growing that it is? And it will say absolutely not. We are pushing the boundaries of our utility grids, our electrical grids. The amount of energy it will take to just constantly keep these things running, and to actually bring things to where they're on an individual level, where you have your own AI model or your own AI agent, which is the next step, is agents that actually you can create to do things for you. We can't get there without the energy. You've got to understand how much energy it takes to run a data center in the first place, how much energy it takes to run the internet. It takes more energy to run the internet every day than it takes to fly every single plane that's in the air. It's unbelievable how much power these things take. And these models, these AI models and stuff, take even more. If you do not get into nuclear energy in a major scalable way, there is no way that AI can ever get to the levels that people think are going to take over the world. AI is an unbelievable tool. Unbelievable. AI as a fortune-telling device, it's about as good as a fortune cookie. Woman in Greece uses ChatGPT to analyze coffee ground patterns for signs of infidelity. Sounds to me like that woman's a little crazy, but you get into that sometimes. Next, the Federal Reserve leaves interest rates unchanged. Oh, I so wish that we teach what the Federal Reserve is, what it does for us, how it affects us starting in 5th grade. The Federal Reserve is so important to all of our lives. Most people don't even understand what the Federal Reserve is. And the fact that it's called the Federal Reserve automatically makes them assume that it's a part of the government. It's not. It's not part of the government. It was never meant to be part of the government. Yes, the president appoints, Congress oversees it, but it has nothing to do with the federal government whenever it comes down to it, other than they have to pay the federal government for any profit they make. The Federal Reserve and their decisions set whatever borrowing rates and whatever savings rates we're going to have. They have the money printer. They are the ones that create US dollars, and they are the ones that destroy US dollars. There's no other entity, not Congress, not anybody else, that can create or destroy dollars. The Federal Reserve is really not a complicated thing. It's really not. But it can be made to be very complicated, because what they do and the levers they pull for certain accounting things and certain different actions can just blow things up. Jerome Powell is probably the most powerful guy in the world whenever it comes down to it. More powerful than Donald Trump, more powerful than any president there's ever been. We just don't get it because we were never taught it, and we should have been taught it. I just can't get into the Fed right now because I can make it complicated, and just like every YouTube financial guy, it can be made to be a very complicated thing. It's not. It's just about lending. It's about money supply. I'm not going to say any more about the Federal Reserve. I'll do a video at some point, but United Healthcare earnings. I do own a lot of stock in United Healthcare. Major health insurance company. Had their CEO shot in New York last year, and this started kind of the downfall of the stock price in this thing. They had earnings this week, and this is actually kind of a big deal to a lot of people, because what they really did is they mispriced what they thought Medicare claims were going to be this year. They thought it would be like, say, 5% of something, so they set their premiums based on that. Well, they said, no, we're not. That was way wrong. Obviously, their earnings came out and they missed pretty bad. Actually, they didn't miss so bad on earnings. They missed on their guidance going down the road, which is them saying, hey, we're going to make a lot less money in the future, and that killed their stock. So they mispriced it and said it wasn't like 5%, it was 10%. So if they say it was 10%, that means next year, whenever it comes time to you do your enrollment, that they're going to price it at 10% for their premiums rather than 5, which means double your premiums. And it's not just them, it's every healthcare company. This is another one. Healthcare billing is not complicated, but I do know that me and you and everybody else, as I've checked into these things and I do kind of know how they work, but most people do not. And it's meant to be confusing for the sole fucking purpose of you not asking questions. It's a video for another time because I would actually have to sit here and break down exactly how a insurance billing works. Much like everything else, it goes through so many bureaucratic layers and so many people getting paid a lot of money, 6-figure salaries, to check and recheck and put back and deny and this and that, and then we add just more jobs and bring in more people and everybody's there, and that's what a medical billing is all about anyway. That's what a medical procedure is all about. That's why you have 12 people in a room now that are all making $100,000 a year. That is a 30-minute procedure that requires one doctor. It's a frustrating thing, and I don't like how the medical system really makes us feel stupid whenever it comes down to it. But I know why they do it, because they get $1.5 trillion in subsidies every year. So of course there's going to be fraud going on here. There's going to be milking the books. There's going to be, and it's every medical company. It's every hospital. You walk into the emergency room and all of a sudden they're going to run 20 tests on your blood that is not needed to bill you for that. Oh. I'm doing this to kind of get worked up about a bunch of stuff because I am teed off about it, but in order to do something like UNH earnings, medical system, how it all works, and the Federal Reserve and all that, then we got to get into, different things. Yeah. All right, last one. And this was what the thumbnail was all about. Want to help with America's $36 trillion debt? Treasury Department now takes PayPal and Venmo donations. Now, this is a program that is actually 3 decades old, but they're just now starting to take PayPal and Venmo. That if you want to help with America's debt, if you say, hey, I feel that the debt is a problem and I want to just donate above my tax dollars, you can do that. And this program in 3 decades has collected $67.3 million. I'm going to say that again. This, over 3 decades, people have donated, not through taxes, not through what is obligated them, donated $67.3 million over 29 years. That is 20 minutes worth of our debt. Okay? Okay. That is 20 minutes worth of our debt. $67.3 million in 29 years. Now, the maximum Venmo payment that Venmo allows is $999,999.99. You would need to make that transaction, $999,999.99. You would need to make that transaction within 18 seconds in order to keep up with the debt. There's something we need to understand real quick in this country about our debt. It will never be paid off. It's not going to happen. My dad was so animate. He was like, oh, we're getting this big, beautiful bill. He's like, why do we need to raise the debt limit if we're cutting? It's because we have $9 trillion worth of debt coming due. Now, this isn't a loan. This isn't a traditional loan where you pay as you go and it comes down. A bond is not like that. A bond means that I give you $10 million for 10 years and you pay me 4% every year for 10 years. And then at the end of 10 years, you give me my entire $10 million back. The first year, $10 million, 4%, you're going to give me $400,000. The second year, you still have my $10 million. You're going to give me $400,000. The third year, 10 years, you're going to give me $400,000. $4 million for 10 years. And then you're going to give me my entire $10 million back. That is what treasuries are. That's what the loans are. They're not a loan where you give $10 million and you start to pay it down. So if we have $9 trillion coming due, that means we have $9 trillion that we have to give back to people. Or we have to convince those people to roll over that money into another 10-year bond or a 7-year bond or whatever. We don't pay down debt. We never will pay down debt. But the debt stays the same. So we have $37 trillion basically in debt. And that's going to stay the same, but it's going to go up. It's going to go up because we continue to borrow. But $37 trillion. And then we have something like $30 trillion in GDP. If we can get that GDP to go up and prices to go up, then and inflation to move up, then we collect more money. The debt stays the same. When it's still $37 trillion. So if we can get to the point where our GDP is $100 trillion rather than $30 trillion, then $37 trillion worth of debt is not that bad. That's our logic. Now, of course, this is a very unsustainable model, as you might be able to, just with a knowledge of a border collie or a small child, understand that this cannot continue to go on forever. Because eventually, nobody will want your money because it will be worthless. People fearmonger it all the time that the US dollar is going away. That is not going to happen. There's about $100 trillion worth of US dollar denominated debt in the world, which means people have to pay back these debts in dollars. They can't pay it back in yuan. They can't pay it back in Argentinian dollars. They have to convert it to US dollars, which by definition, if they have to convert it, means there's demand for US dollars. There can reach a certain point where people don't want that dollar anymore, and that will be what happens. Nobody knows what that's going to look like, but basically what I'm saying is that the dollar isn't going to go away, and it's not going to go away very fast. It will go away with a whimper because there is so much debt that has to be paid in dollars. They're going to try to inflate away the debt, and we've done it before. This is what happened after World War II. We inflated away all this debt and made just, where we were making $100,000 a year and had $50,000 in debt and it seemed bad, we just decided, hey, we're going to create a scenario where we're making $250,000 a year, but we still have $50,000 in debt. It ain't so bad. And that's what we're going to do again. And we're going to continue to kick that can down the road as far as humanly possible. And the thing about dollars and currencies and where everybody's like, well, Bitcoin will take over and this and that. It's like, you got to understand, currency was the fiat currency, which is just currency backed by nothing other than the promise from a government that it's worth something. It basically comes down to, if you don't have an army to tell people to use your money, then you're not going to have a currency. And the US dollar has the biggest military in the history of the world. And the threat of, if you don't use this, then we will throw you in jail, we will do whatever. Bitcoin doesn't have that. It's never going to have that. Bitcoin, not saying Bitcoin isn't valuable. Bitcoin's very valuable, and it always will be valuable because it was the first digital currency ever. But Bitcoin will not take over the US dollar. What will happen is the Federal Reserve, the federal government, at some point will create their own digital currency and say, hey, you're going to use this. And you're going to use this because we have a big military that says you're going to use it. And if you don't, we'll throw you in jail. We will use this big military, we'll use this big police force, and if you don't use what we tell you to use, then we'll take away your freedom. 37 trillion. Ah, wow. That's an unbelievable amount. You can't even wrap your head around that. 67.3 million that people donated, and that's 20 minutes worth of it. I'd never understood how people believe if we just tax the rich, if we tax the like 240 billionaires we have or whatever in this country, that we could sustain, that everybody would have. The level of spending is so unbelievable. Like I said, you can't even wrap your head around it. There's no way taxing in itself could ever pay down this debt. And we're not going to. We don't want to. Everybody knows that you can't pay this down. Anyway, that's this episode teed off. Glad you guys joined. Hit subscribe. I would like to hear from you. Leave comments, please. Come on now. It's trying to get a community put together to start to really embrace the backside of life and the backside of living. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Take care.